Today, we're going to try something new. We're discussing some of the worst businesses you might start, especially as a newbie. I'll be giving you a couple of reasons why these types of businesses are ones you should definitely avoid, as well as some of the risks involved with them, so we should just go straight to the video. Have you checked out my awesome videos yet? Every week, I give you a short, entertaining video so you can easily learn about personal finance. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. If you haven't subscribed yet, just click that button and turn on notifications. Now, keep in mind that it's clearly fairly subjective. It's not that you can't succeed in any of these businesses, but these are the ones I wouldn't consider starting as my first business. So let's get this party started. The very first is a clothing store. Now, I know a lot of people want to start clothing businesses. But I'm going to tell you right now that, unless you're already rich, or if you went to fashion design school and you're actually a really incredible designer, you should probably avoid starting a clothing company. And this is why. Firstly, the margins on clothes are very small. Secondly, it's challenging to get people interested in your clothing store, especially if you're launching a brand like Supreme or a graphic t-shirt shop. Clothing businesses work well with influencers. Because when a fan watches an influencer, they are feeling a specific way, and therefore they buy that clothing. However, if you are not an influencer or are not doing this as a hobby, it is really tough to break through on stuff like this. Sure, many individuals make their living selling clothing, but it's really difficult to get into that field, and it's not one I'd personally pursue, especially as my first business attempt. The next business I would not start this year is any kind of franchise from a multinational company. Franchises aren't as common as they were in the 1980s or 1990s, and there's a reason for that. The fundamental issue that I have with creating a business like this is that maybe you believe that you're going to build something big in your local town, but the fact is that even though you might run the firm, the corporation still kind of owns you. You get the feeling that you're nothing but a manager at that site. I suggest using extra caution when it comes to franchises. Even if the brand name is really powerful, it can be quite difficult, especially if the multinational company is skimming money over the top as a royalty charge. As a franchisee, it can be very hard to make a profit. The other reason why I would not start a franchise this year is because it is really tough to grow. Your options are limited. You can't just open 5 more stores in your town. You have to go through corporate all the time, which I believe would be really inconvenient. This is not the type of business I would establish. Okay, the third business I would avoid this year is fads or trend items. I would avoid them for the reason that they come in and go out pretty swiftly. I will give you an example. So let's say, if you follow those fad items and you attempt to buy a lot of inventory for them, you wind up spending a lot for them as the price is high and you believe you can make a significant profit. Then, once everyone else joins the market, the price decreases, and you're left with a pile of stuff in your garage, which is a little frustrating. It's not something I do myself. Be cautious if you want to go the e-commerce way. E-commerce can absolutely make you money. Just be careful not to chase fad or trend things that come in and out extremely rapidly. It's very plausible. The next venture I would be very hesitant to launch is any form of restaurant. I understand that restaurants are one of the most common businesses to start, but let me explain why I'm extremely skeptical of them and would not want to start one. The primary reason is that the total profit margins of the ordinary restaurant or food business are substantially lower than in other industries. Because there is plenty of supply. Every town, city, and place on the globe has a large number of restaurants. Because it is such a crowded market, it is tremendously competitive. Restaurants frequently fail. I believe that the only way I would start a food or restaurant business is if I had a strong desire to do so. So, if you're a foodie, go ahead and do it. I believe it is one of those fields where if you break through, you truly break through and do well, and if you don't, you basically fizzle out. It's difficult to get those customers at first because the margins are low, the market is very saturated, and you also have to deal with things like pandemic lockdowns and other issues that are associated with having a physical store, and there's just a lot of risk connected with it. Now, let's go into the other one. Another example is any ATM or vending machine business. I realize some people appreciate vending machine companies, but here's why I wouldn't establish or acquire one. You must consider not only how much income you generate from every ATM or vending machine, but also this one key question. If I employed someone to do this ATM route or to go out and check all these vending machines and refill them for an hourly wage, say $20 an hour, would I still make money after paying them to drive around the city, pick up cash from ATMs, replace it, and do all these other things? When you do the calculations, you see that the profit margins are quite tight. When you consider time and energy, you're essentially purchasing yourself a job. If you buy vending machines or ATMs and do this yourself, and you spend, say, 5 hours a week driving around your city restocking all of these things, you might realize that the margins aren't that great. And you've basically bought yourself a job. On the other hand, it might be something what some people seek. They simply want to work for themselves and not for someone else, which is fantastic. However, if you want to establish a multi-million-dollar firm, it will be extremely difficult to accomplish it through a vending machine or an ATM method where the typical transaction yields you a $1 or $2 profit per transaction. It's difficult to expand it into a serious firm. Any type of company that requires a loan is the next one I would not start. I'm not sure why, but the first thing they teach you in a finance or business class in high school or college is to go to the bank and acquire a loan for your firm. That, I believe, is one of the most common errors individuals make. I'm not sure why they instill in our minds that you need a loan to start a business. Try your best to avoid them as much as possible. I believe that people who take out loans for the purpose of trying to start a business, like a local bakery in their town or something, end up failing much more than those who are basically just bootstrapped. If you wish to establish a food company in your area, why not start small, perhaps even out of your home or a small location, and then gradually bootstrap your way up as you gain popularity and more customers. You can build on that, and after the business model is proven, you might be able to acquire some financing to open other stores. But, right away, I'd be very cautious about beginning a firm that requires a loan, especially if you had to personally guarantee that loan. I've seen people lose their homes, their vehicles, and everything else because they guaranteed a loan for a business they formed because they went to the bank and ended up with a predatory loan. So act with caution. I don't believe you need a loan for many of the businesses you start. Bootstrapping is unquestionably my favorite method of growing a business. The last one I would avoid, and I assumed this would be common information, but many people still fall into this trap, is any sort of company that resembles a pyramid. I'm not just referring to pyramid schemes, I'm also referring to multi-level marketing. There are several of them out there, particularly in the insurance industries, where you basically have to recruit additional people, and those individuals are required to pay fees to join the firm so that they can make money. Simply, when you start making money on others who are making money on others, that's when you raise the red flag and say, wait a moment, something's wrong here. So those are the companies I would avoid this year. Please let me know if there are any more that you might be avoiding as well. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more finance tips and insights. And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until next time, stay financially savvy and take care.